Hi, everybody. Robert Mueller has spoken. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And so there's just so much to say about this. So basically what he said was, I'm going to speak right now. I'm going to address all those questions people have about what I did, what my purpose was, and what my conclusions were. And so he said, everything that I have to say is in that report. I have nothing else to say. Then he went on to, he read some portions of the report, and in those portions he said, I'm not saying that we did not find that the president did not commit a crime. If he felt that the president had committed a crime, or they found evidence to suggest that he did not commit a crime, he would have said so. They would have put that in the report. So we know that's a scathing endorsement. Basically, what he said was, you know what? I'm gonna leave this to Congress, because there is a part of the Constitution that says, and you know what? I have this in front of me because I wanted to actually be able to read this, because the Constitution says that a sitting president cannot be charged with high crimes and misdemeanors unless it's by the impeachment process. And so there are some question marks, and it says that it's what does it say here? It says that the Constitution is silent on whether a president can face criminal prosecution in court, and the U.S. Supreme Court has not directly addressed the question. So I feel like that means this is open to interpretation. And anything that's open to interpretation means that there could be bias in it. And we know where there's bias, there's politics. I'm going to applaud Robert Mueller, because basically what he did was something different than Kenneth Starr did when he was the special prosecutor, special investigator during the Clinton administration, and mounted the investigation that got Bill Clinton impeached. He made it political. Robert Mueller chose to keep this from being political at all. And so by him saying, you know what, I am not going to do an investigation or write a report or come to a conclusion or create a summary of any sort that suggests I'm weighing in on the criminal process, because a president is governed by the Constitution. The Constitution can only be addressed by Congress. Bravo, Robert Mueller. Because had he done what Kenneth Starr did, then everything about his investigation would have looked political, just like Kenneth Starr's looked political. The outcome, of course, would have been the same. Bill Clinton was impeached, did not resign. Donald Trump would be impeached, would not resign. We know this already. Nancy Pelosi has been talking about this a lot. And from what I can see, Nancy Pelosi is one of the only people who is point blank saying, impeachment's a bad idea. We shouldn't even waste our time. We shouldn't waste our resources. We shouldn't waste taxpayer dollars. That's going to be a waste of time. Let's not do that. Let's do something else. Now, she's all for further investigating what happened. But I also read something from Alan Dershowitz, which, you know, at this point I find incredible, where he said, well, if Robert Mueller knew that he could not bring criminal charges against a sitting president, why did he do the investigation at all? Mr. Dershowitz, if you don't recall, the investigation was mainly about Russian collusion. It was less about the president's criminal activity and more about his campaign's Russian collusion, which, according to the report, is confirmed, is fluid, and there's plenty of evidence that that actually took place. So the answer to that question is yes, we absolutely needed that investigation. And two, yes, Robert Mueller did exactly the right thing. Bravo, Robert Mueller. So now the only other thing that I'm trying to figure out is what to do, whether it's better to try to impeach him, which I think is not the answer, or better to figure out how to vote him out. The vote him out part is tricky, because look what happened last time. But I think Congress needs to take the next step in this, which is mount a full investigation based on Robert Mueller's report. A full investigation needs to take place, because if in fact there's criminal activity on the part of the president, then that needs to be addressed. And again, the criminal activity with regard to the president is about obstruction of justice. It's not about the Russians meddling in the election. It's about the president and obstruction of justice in the process of the investigation. So let's not forget that these are two different things, because the investigation started and there was no obstruction of justice. There were no issues with regard to the president's actions individually. The investigation was about his campaign. Now, the conclusions are based on the collusion, but we also have to add in there, okay, in the process of this, the president possibly committed a crime called obstruction of justice. So I'm going to wait and see what happens. I mean, I think our congresspersons need to stop grandstanding, because that's what they're doing. They're grandstanding by saying we should impeach him, and they're not stopping and thinking to themselves, how is that going to help the country? What is that going to do? We've got a lot of business to take care of, like taxes and health care, and all these other problems. And even the fact that the Russians did meddle in our elections, and we have proof of it, that's more important to me than trying to impeach Donald Trump. We need to just get past that and focus on those other things that are so much more important, and I think Nancy Pelosi is going the right direction with that. I've gained a lot of respect for her. Her first go-round as Speaker of the House wasn't so impressed, but again, it was her first go-round. Now she seems to have come into a different level of confidence and comfort where she's making a lot of sense. Whether you like her personally, how you feel about her personally, I feel like let's remove that and let's just look at how she's presenting herself, and how she's presenting the facts, and how she's presenting the actions that need to take place. And I think she's doing that the right way. I can't say that about all the Democrats, and I certainly can't say that about very many of the Republicans. I've seen some Republicans who say, listen, I'm not gonna support a president who it does not embody what the office of the presidency should be, Republican or not. Those are the people that I have respect for, and the people who don't lose your credibility just to support your party. Support your party. Do not support people who bring your party down. So let's leave it there. Let's leave it to Congress. Let's see what Congress comes up with. Let's see if they do an investigation and do it properly. And if they do a proper investigation, the truth will reveal itself. So let's keep tweeting. SGTATARMSUSA. Still trying to figure out what's going on with the president and his tweets, but aren't we all? So I will close this installation of the Sergeant at Arms, and I will see you next time.